What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 8 of 10th Inning Screwballs. I'm Dante Esposito.
And I'm Sevi Esposito, Season 2, Episode 8. Dante, I could go 2, 8, 28, 82. So many directions. Some are too easy. I'll go hard this week. 82.
Okay, so that's it's a football number.
It is.
You could go Marion Gabrick for hockey. He wore it for a season, I believe. But I'll go with Logan Thomas, the Washington tight end.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. And he's currently playing, yes?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. I'm good with that. I was tempted to go 8, even though that's just a slam dunk. Only because I wanted to say 8 because 8 belongs to Yogi Berra, who is the greatest catcher of all time. All right. And I'm sorry, Johnny Bench, with your couple of championships. And I'm sorry, Josh Gibson, with your newspaper article statistics. And I'm sorry, Ivan Rodriguez, with your medical kit full of steroids. No, look up the stats. Yogi Berra was the greatest catcher of all time, not to mention having the most championships ever. If you haven't checked out the awesome documentary by his granddaughter did a documentary, It Ain't Over is the name of it. I think it's on Netflix now. Got to see it. Fantastic stuff. And 8 would have also brought in the great 8, right?
Yeah.
Alexander Ovechkin, who was hot on the heels of Gretzky's goal scoring record. But no, 82. To me, there's only one 82. That's Raymond Berry, one of the greatest football players, let alone the greatest wide receivers of all time. Hall of Famer with the Baltimore Colts when the Colts were in Baltimore. 8-time Pro Bowler, 8-time first-team All-Pro before he retired in 67. Played for 12 or 13 years, and maybe his greatest performance was in the game that some people say is the greatest game ever, the 1958 championship game. That day, he caught 12 passes from Johnny Unitas from nearly 180 yards and a touchdown. Great. Raymond Berry. Great. The number 82. What do we got today, Dante?
We got a lot to talk about today. We got Caitlin Clark is getting into more physical trouble with Angel Reese now. We have the NBA Finals, which have ended, and the Celtics are champions. We have the Stanley Cup Finals, which at the time of this recording, it's 3-1 in the series. And we have Grimace and the Mets are on a little bit of a heater. But we're going to start with the U.S. Open. Rory McIlroy chokes the U.S. Open away, missing 2 4-foot putts in the last 3 holes. Bryson DeChambeau winning. What are your thoughts on this?
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, there's 2 storylines, right? Did Rory choke? Is he ever going to win another major? And the other storyline is Bryson has transformed his image.
Yep.
You know, this guy was this geeky techno jerk of a guy to everybody, and then suddenly he's taken time to sign autographs and shake hands in the middle of a round, and after the match he's going through the crowds, letting everybody touch the trophy. He's become the people's champion. I mean, this guy who everybody hated, including me, who he's now won over. I gotta say I was rooting for him and rooting against Rory. I feel for anybody who misses 2 short putts that mean as much as those 2 short putts that Rory missed. I feel it breaks your heart. If you're a golfer, you know what it's like. Those little putts, nothing's a gimme. And when you're putting for the U.S. Open, I felt for him, even though I don't root for him. But, you know, this has different ramifications now. You know, guys, think about it. This is a live golfer who won the major. Now what happens? Now nobody's going to see this guy again for another how many weeks? People want to see him. Is this going to force the hand of the PGA and live to put something together? I don't know.
Yeah, you said you feel for Rory. I don't. He's a jerk. All right. Let's go back to Bryson, though. Crazy bunker shot on 18. Put him 11 inches from the pin to win. I think if you're a stat guy, there is a 1.7% chance that shot went 3 feet near the pin. He put it 11 inches from the pin. Just clutch shot. Something that Rory didn't have. I wasn't a fan of Bryson either, but I've also done a complete 180 on him. A couple of episodes ago, I said he was too loose during the match. I love it now. He's interacting with fans, like you mentioned. He's being a good guy, but you mentioned him being like that geeky techno. I believe that's what you said.
That's what I said.
I like it. I like how precise he is, the attention to detail. He puts his balls in salt to see
His golf balls.
the golf ball. Yes, yes, the golf balls. To see the exact imbalance to perfect his game. Reminds me a little bit of Trevor Bauer, how he's this quirky guy who a lot of people don't like but start to come around to. I happen to like Trevor Bauer as well.
I know you do.
But going back to May in the PGA Championship, Xander Schauffele beats Bryson by one stroke. Bryson was out in the practice range when he saw Xander win, and he ran over to congratulate Xander right after the putt. That's class. On Sunday, Rory was watching Bryson inside. Bryson wins. He storms out, leaves the complex, denies interviews. Yes, yes, he's got to be emotional. He choked it away. But really, be a man. At the very least, shake his hand, congratulate him. You don't even need to say anything. But you're a pro. It's not like you're a rookie. You've been here before. You lost plenty of times. You haven't won a major in 10 years. You know what it feels like to lose. I understand you were this close to winning. But do an interview. Nobody's asking you to be all happy. Go do the interview. Say that you want those two putts back, but Bryson played his tail off and he deserves it. Be a good sport. That's really all it comes down to. Rory is just such a jerk. And to the people that like him, please tell me why. Because I genuinely don't understand why you like him. Is it because he's a little guy who hits the ball far, and then you like almost like an underdog? What is it?
He's no
Why do
underdog.
people like him? I don't get it.
Look, I'm gonna differ with you on a few things, but I'm only gonna mention one of them, and that is this business about him leaving so quickly. You say he stormed out. He didn't storm out. He just booked out of there. I mean, he didn't go out mad. He wasn't kicking things. That's storming out. He left. Look, he sat there in that viewing room, staring to see how Tyson would finish. Everybody, it was on live television. You know, he watched that amazing shot out of the bunker that Bryson made, and he turned around. Look, he was demoralized. You know, that's enormous. What happened to him has never happened to you or I or probably anybody else that's watching this right now. That's got to be just so crushing. He came back the next day and he gave his interviews. He didn't need to do it at that moment while he was distraught. All right. Look, there's a lot of things I say about these guys that make a lot of money, so they owe a lot to media and they owe a lot to the fans because they're making a lot of money to play a freaking game, right? I'm paying thousands of dollars to play golf. He's getting paid to play millions of dollars to play the same game, right? So when his time comes, he's supposed to stand in front of the camera, say what he's supposed to. I get all that. I get what a professional athlete's obligations are. But at a moment like that, to be completely crushed and maybe want to just gather himself before he says the wrong thing, cut the guy a little slack. You're just a hard ass. I swear. Whose son are you?
Let me go back to a positive note. Bryson is showing nothing but respect before and after this win. Even to Rory, he mentioned how Rory's going to be back, and he said he'll win multiple majors down the road. So Bryson, he won me over.
He won me over as well, and he showed nothing but class. But since we're talking about such class, in the WNBA, the Fever played the Sky, and I can't even say that with a straight face. The names of these teams, I'm sorry, I'm trying to come around to it. I'm trying to show it respect and not be chauvinistic about men's basketball versus. But I mean, even the names, it sounds like an astronomy class. The sky beat the storm and the sun beats the moon, and there's no moon, but that's what it sounds like. I can't. I'm struggling with it. But anyway, the Fever plays the Sky, and there's more controversy around again Caitlin Clark. Dante, what the hell happened?
Yeah. So let me just start off by saying this was the most watched women's basketball game in 23 years. featured Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the two enemies. Even though Caitlin Clark is just competitor, Angel Reese, we've said it before, he's a jerk. Much like Rory, I guess. Look at that. Um, but Angel Reese, we said it last episode, I think. She said, I'll play the villain role. Okay. She plays the villain role against Caitlin Clark. Clark's going up for a layup, and it's like a tomahawk whack on Clark's head. 100% intentional. 100% intentional. There is 0%. Nobody could ever convince me that that was an accident or just her playing the game. 100% intentional. It's the jealousy. It's whatever you want to call it. No surprise to me.
All right. So we're leaning in the same, I shouldn't say we're leaning in the same direction. I'm leaning in the same direction where you're diving. All right. Because you've made some accusations about Angel Reese that I think have gone too far. So here's the deal. All right. First of all, Caitlin Clark has become, our Aaron Rodgers, where we have to mention or what the hell is this the singer that was dating the tight end?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, right? There's certain names that seem to appear every week when we're talking, okay? And it annoys me that Caitlin Clark's name is happening every week when we're just talking about somebody who, at this stage of her career, is just a good player who scores 15, 20 points a game. We should be talking about her every week, and that's what's happening. But let's go back and track what exactly happened this week. That's the news, all right? Caitlin Clark is going up for a layup. Aliyah Boston jumps up in front of her and swats this down, okay? Blocks the shot, in position to do so cleanly. And Angel Reese from out of nowhere goes to do the same thing and gives her a forearm across the head in the process, all right? Now, if these were any other three players, here's what you'd be saying. You'd be saying that Angel Reese had no right trying that play because her teammate had it covered from a position where it could be not only accomplished, but accomplished legally. So why the hell are you doing this? That brings me to what you say. She did it intentionally. No. I think she went for the ball. Okay?
No.
She went for the ball and in the process forearmed her in the head. And why did she go for the ball when it was not her position to go for it, when her teammate had it covered and succeeded? Because in her jealous, competitive, bitchy thing that she's got going on with Caitlin Clark, she wanted to be the one to block Caitlin's shot. Because to her, that was what was important. More than am I going to foul her? Does my teammate already have it covered? No. She wanted the highlight film of blocking Caitlin Clark because she's got this competitive inferiority complex thing going on with her, to the point where when they interviewed her after the game, she says, well, these referees are making these calls in their favor. So it's about the referees. As if she didn't touch her. She forearmed her in the head. That's illegal in football. So that's what I think happened. I don't think she said, let me go whack her in the head. I think she said, let me go block this shot on her for my highlight reel. And it wound up hitting her in the head. But either way, I'm sick of hearing about it. And you know what? Maybe I was right. The sun beats the moon and whatever else. And there's enough stupid names. And we shouldn't talk about this anymore.
Yeah,
We haven't talked a lot about baseball lately.
We haven't.
We haven't because it's not even mid-season yet. We all know what goes on at this time of the year. It often doesn't mean a damn thing come October and November. But for certain teams approaching the trade deadline, this is starting to be an interesting time of year. And the New York Mets in particular are coming upon a crossroads. Dante, what's going on over there?
I'll tell you what's going on. The McDonald's mascot, Grimace, the purple guy, started throwing out the first pitch, and the Mets started to win, and they just kept winning. They are one game out of a wild card spot. I don't think this is sustainable at all. It's the Mets. The Mets aren't exactly a great baseball team. And if you look at the National League wild card race, the Washington Nationals have a wild card spot right now. Just shows how wide open this is. The Mets are the Mets. The Mets will Met. And like I said, they're going to collapse. So I don't think it's smart to buy. And Steve Cohen said it, I believe it was last offseason, that he's gonna sell and almost tank for a couple of years to wait for prospects and to reload. So I don't think this is even a conversation. I don't even think the Mets are gonna buy. I don't think there's any chance that the Mets are gonna be buyers. Uh, it, it doesn't mean much to me, and they'll fold eventually. It's not big.
So you mentioned Steve Cohen. A couple of things about Steve Cohen. Number one, when he bought the team, he says inside of 3-4 years he wants a championship. He's
Yeah.
already in his third year, I believe. So no, I don't think he just is chalking it all up to tanking and another 4 years down the road become a
No, no,
champion.
no. For next year. For next year.
Um, as far as these teams getting in, as wild card teams and so on and so forth. Look, who the hell saw the Diamondbacks getting to the World Series last year? This was a wild card team that was only 6 games over 500 when the season ended. They had the same record as the Marlins last year, okay, and made it all the way to the World Championship. Right? They ran the table in the National League against the Braves and the Dodgers and the Phillies, all these great teams, and the Diamondbacks come out. So I think everybody knows if you can get in, anything can happen. All right. The Mets are they are at an interesting crossroads because I think the biggest thing is this. What happens with Pete Alonso? All right. We saw what happens when a team has a homegrown talent, all right, who's going to go free agent and think that we could sign him later. Let's not trade him yet and let's hang in there rather than trade him. The fans are going to go ballistic if we trade him because we saw this with Ohtani. All right. The Angel fans will go nuts. All right. Let's hold on to him and try to sign him later rather than trade him now for a boatload of prospects. Well, what happened to the Angels? It blew up in their face because they didn't sign him and they didn't get anything in return. So now the Mets are looking at if we don't sign him later, we should trade him now. If we keep him now, then we got to be all in because we're not getting any prospects back. So now we have to be buyers. All right. And who's better to be a buyer than Steve Cohen? He could buy guys that are on the back end of contracts that make a lot of money. All right. That teams are trying to dump right now. Okay. He could. But if he does that, well, what does he buy them for? Does he buy them for some of his prospects that he traded for last year? That kind of beats the whole premise of what he did last year when he traded guys to get these. The Mets are in a strange spot right now. They're in a very strange spot.
I got a couple things. One, like you just mentioned, they traded Verlander, Scherzer for
Yeah.
prospects. They're not just going to trade those prospects away for a chance at even making the playoffs. This isn't a playoff team that has World Series aspirations. Right now, it's a team that's outside looking in to the playoffs. There's plenty of teams that they have to jump. Also, Pete
Like
Alonso
the
is no.
Diamondbacks did.
Yeah, yeah. Pete Alonso is no Otani. Otani was in a league of his own. That was a completely different scenario. It was we lock up Otani for life because he's the superstar who's going to bring not just good play but fans. Pete Alonso, I get the sense that Met fans aren't exactly. Yeah, they love him because he's theirs. But if he left and they traded him, I don't think Met fans are going to lose too much sleep over it. It's not that kind of love. I think Met fans are a little. It's a little rocky situation that they have, and it'll just defeat the purpose. It's going to defeat the purpose if they start buying. I don't think it's happening. And honestly, if you trade Alonso, great. That means you're all in for next year and the year after. But if you don't trade Alonso, I don't think it's the end of the world, even if you don't re-sign him, because he's not that type of player. He's not
So
an
the
Otani.
real fast. You're a Met fan for the moment. I know it's going to hurt to even make believe. All right. You're a Met fan for the moment. The Mets don't trade Alonso, get nothing for him, and he walks at the end of the year. How you feel about that?
I shrug my shoulders and say that's the Mets. You
That's
got to be
bull.
used to it.
No, yeah, no.
No,
You yeah,
if I were a Met fan, I would want to trade him.
you would
100%.
want to trade him.
No, I would want to.
Okay, I'll buy that. I'll buy that. That I buy.
Yeah.
And this is the problem they have. Okay? Because either you trade him and you tell a half a year's worth of attendance not to come to the stadium because we gave up for the year. But That's what you're saying. We gave up. Tell Pete, the hot dog, the beer man, and all those other guys, go home. We're not selling any hot dogs. We're not selling any beer. It's over. Okay. Look at the crowd. Who is it? Grimace? Tell Grimace, go home. Go home and get Mayor McCheese, and all you guys can go because it's over. We decided we're coming back strong next year. So come back next year with Ronald McDonald. You guys all come back then because we gave up this year because we just traded Pete and we're trying to just unload. All right. So you're either doing that or you buy.
Yes. So you obviously can't do nothing. You can't not buy and then not sell because then it's just kind of a wasted year.
Problem they
That's
have.
what I would sell. But let me tell you one thing. You keep mentioning the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks last year, although they weren't the greatest team on paper throughout the regular season, they had a little pizzazz. They had Corbin Carroll. They had some life to them. The Mets, they don't really have anything going for them. Their pitching staff is pretty mediocre. Their hitting, mediocre. Their defense, mediocre. Their speed, mediocre. Look at the Diamondbacks last year. They were fun. They were fast. They had life. The Mets don't really have that. They're not the same team.
Speaking of life, do the Edmonton Oilers have any real life going against the Panthers down 3-1? Goes back tonight.
I want to say yes, but nah. I think the season ends tonight for the Oilers. They won 8-1 the other night, but don't be fooled. Florida dominated the first three games of that series. And if you were Edmonton, you had to win at home. And honestly, you had to win both at home. They only won one. They're going back to Florida. The Celtics will probably be at this game tonight because Jason Tatum and Matt Kachuk were middle school friends. So everybody's going to be in the building in Sunrise. The Panthers will probably win in, I would say, convincing fashion. Florida's the best team in the league. It's clear. Edmonton, they won one blowout game, but it's not a series.
Well, if you follow my history when it comes to picking winners in football and basketball, hockey, you'll see that I'm the champion in hand grenades and horseshoes because I come close to everything. Okay, so again, I picked the Ravens to get to the Super Bowl, and they were one game away from doing it. I picked the 49ers to win the Super Bowl, and they were one overtime away from doing it, but neither did it. And then here I picked the Rangers to get to the finals, and they were one series away from doing it. And I picked Edmonton to win the finals. And, well, according to my system, if you followed my sheet, they should lose now to the Panthers, okay, and just come one away from doing it. It's probably what's going to happen. I don't think it happens tonight. I think the Oilers got a little more fight in them. I think they got, and then if it comes down 3-2 going back to
And
Edmonton,
you never know.
crazy stuff happens then. So I'm hoping for the Oilers tonight. I'm rooting for them, and I kind of feeling that this is going to go at least 6 games. We'll see.
We'll see.
Now,
I would love a reverse sweep.
so would I. So would I. Now, the last game, the Oilers won
8-1.
gigantic margin, and the last game in the NBA Finals, the Mavs won in a gigantic fashion. And then last night, were eliminated by the Celtics. What's the story there?
I feel like I've been a downer today, but it's not good for the NBA. It's not. Boston, yes, it's a great big sports city. You get another championship. That's 18. But I think games 2 and 3 were close in the NBA Finals. The other 3 games were complete blowouts. You turn the game off at halftime. One of the games was a 33-point game in the third quarter. I think that's what the one that the Mavs won. It's not good for basketball. I mean, nobody wants to see a championship series just have blowout after blowout after blowout, and then you rest your stars, you bench your star players, you're playing your bench. nobody wants to see that. It's bad for basketball. It's really, and I was looking forward to this too, because I thought the Mavs had some juice. Thought the Celtics. I think we both had the Mavs winning, right? I was looking forward to this, but every game was just a blowout by halftime. It wasn't fun to watch. It's bad for basketball.
Yeah, this series was bad for basketball. You're right. This was a lousy series. I don't think the Celtics winning is bad for basketball. I don't think the Mavs getting there was bad for basketball. I think the series that led up to it in the West was an exciting series that was
Yeah,
good for basketball. This was a letdown. This was a bummer series. Uh, it was bad. It was flat. There was not a lot to watch. Hats off to the Celtics. Hats off to Jaylen Brown. Hats off to Jason Tatum. Those two guys played great together. So many people said they'll never win a championship with both of them on the team. Obviously, that was wrong. My guy on that team, I got to say, is this Drew Holiday. This guy's just a winner. They go get these guys. They, that are, and the Celtics in the championship years always found ways to bring guys onto the team that were winners, and they played a role. And I remember for years, the Bill Waltons and these guys they would bring into the team that just knew how to win. Holiday did it with the Bucks just a couple of years ago. Was the champ, and he had they talk about the 50-40-90 thing, where if you shoot 50% from the floor and 40% from the 3-point line and 90% from the free throw line, that's like something special, right? He was 50-40-95 in these playoffs. I mean, this guy's a winner. But when you're talking about winners, you're talking about the Celtics. You said they won 18 championships. They had been tied for the most championships in the NBA history with the Lakers. Interesting stat about that. Most NBA finals reaching the finals is the Lakers with 32 over the Celtics 23. Now you could say it's because for over those years, the West was weaker than the East. So they got to more finals. And the Celtics will tell you, yeah, that's right. Because when they met each other in the finals, the Celtics won 9 out of 12 times against them. And then when you're talking about the all-time greatest champions of all time, well, the Canadians have 24 wins, and of course the Yankees.
yeah.
There's the Yankees and there's everybody else. All right, Dante, I think that's it for this week's. That brings us to that point of our show that we called yesterday, today, and before and after. When Dante talks about something that's on his mind that's happening now, and I talk about something that I'm kind of reminiscing about this week. Dante, take it away.
Yeah, so 2023 first overall pick in the MLB, Paul Skeens. He's been on a dominant run. 4-0 with a 2.29 ERA to start his big league career. Some people say, is this an insanity run or is he just going to be a stud for years? Well, I'll tell you this for sure. He turned the Pirates season around. I mentioned it earlier. The NL is wide open. They're a half a game out of a wild card spot. And Paul Skeens been so dominant that he gets standing ovations at his rival stadium, at Busch Stadium against the Cardinals. Cardinal fans were standing up and giving him an ovation. If that doesn't show how good he's been, I don't know what does. Paul Skeens is must-watch TV. And look, I could care less about the Pirates. I don't care. But when Paul Skeens is pitching, I flip on the game. I go on my illegal streaming sites. I flip it on and I want to see Paul Skeens pitch. I do. Because he's exciting. I'm gonna say something that he's got the aura. He does.
It's
He's like
him.
right now, sure.
It's him.
Right now.
I'm pretty cool, right? I know that stuff.
But he's got the talent, he's got the personality, he's got the juice, and he's thrown something like double the amount of pitches, 100 plus mile an hour, than any other big leaguer, it's crazy. He's just a stud. But what I love even more than Paul Skeens is that the Pirates wasted no time calling him up. He was dominating in minor league ball, and instead of giving him 3 years in the minors, they gave him the call early on in his career, which I think most teams should look into doing. And people say, well, he might not be ready. Let's give him time. You give him time, you give him time, you give him time. He loses trade value. He may never be ready. And then you're stuck with a prospect that you could have gotten somebody. Let's bring in Davy Garcia. Could have traded him for Luis Castillo, but you didn't. He turned out being a bum. Where even is he? Is he even on an MLB roster? I don't know. The Pirates, good job calling up Skeens. Well, what's up? That's all I got.
I think Davey Garcia is over at Citi Field wearing the Grimace costume right now. Hey, at least he's employed. Oh, God. All right, we got to get this over with now. All right. This year's U.S. Open brought to mind Payne Stewart. Payne was known for his golf attire, wearing the classic golf cap and the +4 pants. Like Bryson DeChambeau, he's an SMU grad. DeChambeau said that he played this tournament for his dad. It was Father's Day, and he lost his dad a few years ago, and for Payne Stewart. Payne was a 3-time majors champion. 89 won the PGA, 91 won the U.S. Open, his first U.S. Open, and then in 99, 25 years ago, this year, he won the U.S. Open again with this iconic 15-footer at the last hole to win the tournament. This iconic fist bump and leg kick move that's the world will remember Payne Stewart by. That movement was memorialized this year being the 25th anniversary of that, where the U.S. Open had that silhouette of that motion on their 18th hole flag. DeChambeau also wore that silhouette on the back of his cap. Stewart tragically died in a plane crash only months after that win. Great loss to the sport of golf, and it was great that this tournament in so many ways was played in his honor. Dante, that's it. Tie it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this episode of 10th Inning Screwballs. You know where to get the clips. Long clips, YouTube and Spotify. Short ones, TikTok, Instagram. If you haven't joined our chat page on Facebook, it's growing by the day. We love to interact with you guys, so if you haven't joined there, go ahead and join. From Dante Esposito.
And Sevi Esposito.
Have a great week.
Go get your shine box. Ciao.